I'll tell you right now.
8% chance.
No, I'm telling you right now, it's Annihilation. It's time.
It's not time. You know what it is time for?
Is Bad
I want to
Education...
watch Tomb Raider. I
Bad-
want
yeah.
that to finally come
Bad
out. I've been
Education.
aiming for that for a while.
Bad Education never got picked all season.
But you took it off.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you never wanted to have its time, so it knew that.
I did. It's very different. But anyway.
Okay. I got Theo
We're ready.
looking like.
He's gonna climb that rock.
So you guys remember in Jurassic?
She.
You guys remember when in Jurassic Park when the cow gets lowered into the Velociraptor pen? Yeah, it's Theo just now.
Is she the raptor or the cow?
Mike is on?
Yes. Mike's on?
It's been a while since she's been on camera. Mike is on.
Yeah.
The last time she was on camera, she was this big and was
Yeah.
crawling across
Was that Mad
the
Max?
table. It might have been Mad
I think
Max.
it was Mad Max, yeah.
Wow.
That's a really good call, Dylan.
Yeah.
I need to go back and rewatch that.
Oh, God,
She
don't.
is such a small cat.
You'll feel so tired. Yeah, Annabeth.
I like watching the old ones when we're at Nutwood
Mhm.
and like we're in there and you hear
Yeah.
So every review and that
Dylan's
one.
like, damn it, Caesar!
That was our foundation. That's what this whole thing was just based on.
Yeah.
I favorite moment still you running off to
Ruby.
Ruby.
No,
Pearl.
No,
Pearl.
Okay,
Yeah.
Pearl.
Yeah, Pearl. Ruby
Yeah.
never visited.
Pearl peeing on the floor.
Pearl!
No, it just didn't stop. It
Yeah.
didn't cut, just
So anyway,
Keep it rolling.
And
We
then
need to find
someone
that
came
movie.
in.
Uh-huh.
Jerica
Yeah.
came in with Christian.
Yeah.
I forgot about Jerica. How is she?
That's
She's
when we're
married?
recording in the
They're
other.
married
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
Yeah, she's on
They've been
Instagram.
Same guy,
dating
right?
for forever. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No, he's awesome.
Good for them.
Oh yeah.
He
yeah,
mows yards
he'll
for
mow
free.
This guy mowed never his yard.
Yeah.
He never mowed my yard though. Welcome to the Effin' Movie Podcast. We are infinite.
Oh.
Got him! Look at him! Look at him! Look how red he is! No, we are Dylan, Mason,
That one hurt.
Price, and Nathan. And, oh God, I gotta set myself up for this one. So, okay, this is just me talking to myself for a while.
Pretty much.
Dylan, what movie are we talking about today? I'm glad you asked, Dylan. So we're talking about a little movie based on a book that I read in like high school. I really liked it at the time. Makes a lot of sense if you're watching this movie. And that little movie is called Perks of Being a Wallflower. I think actually The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Because the is important.
Drop the.
God,
cleaner.
God damn it, Timberlake. Get out of here. Anyway, so while we're here talking about that, what game are... Shit, we don't do that anymore. I'm getting used to this new season, guys. It's been a little while. It's been a hard time. I'm going to date this. There's a tornado. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we're ever going to tell you. You'll never find where we are.
Our old
Oh, yeah.
studio is missing a back portion of the house currently.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It is.
I'm wondering what.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
the room that you saw, the very first video of ours playing Octopath Traveler, is gone.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Damn.
You spent 90% of your time there.
I know.
Yeah.
I would venture to say 99%.
You could have died.
Especially if I wasn't sleeping.
You would have died.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like a guy who gets blown in the wind, you know? Like, anyways,
First time.
speaking of getting blown, we're going to blow this movie wide open with a summary. Dylan, you got it? Yeah, I got you. So,
Here we go.
The Perks of Being a Wallflower, it is a pretty, I mean, if I'm being honest, a pretty standard teen rom-com set in high school. You revolve around our main character, Charlie, who may or may not be autistic. And he is a freshman in a very aggressive Grayson County high school. It's not actually Grayson County, but it just feels just like
we
Grayson
still don't
County.
actually know where they're at.
Yeah.
I think somewhere in like
Somewhere
Midwest?
northeast.
Yeah.
No,
you're saying like
northeast,
a
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
kinda?
That's where my final thought was.
I think it was
but don't know.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, anyway, somewhere in Northeast, which
It
explains
doesn't
why
matter.
everybody's fucking terrible. Yeah, we don't got Northeastern fans, so I can say that. So, yeah, everybody's awful, but, you know, he's just this quiet, book-ready kid that is a loser trying to make his way through freshman year and trying to exist, and then he meets Emma Watson, and Ezra Miller becomes great friends at a football game that he's at, and from there, they just explore the world of music and love and romance and how to not say no when he should say no. Dude, just don't break up with her. He dated a girl, that was weird.
He dated a guy for like 4 seconds.
Yeah, for 4 seconds he dated Ezra Miller. So hot.
In the teeth.
So,
That bone structure.
yeah, solid. Anyway, by the end, he's simping after a girl this whole entire time, Emma Watson, and that's fair. And they revealed that they kind of tease it throughout the whole movie, that his aunt had sexually assaulted him when he was a kid. He has blackout periods where he turns into the Incredible Hulk.
Don't we all?
And he just gets away with everything.
Yeah, the green.
And the movie just kind of wraps. His friends graduate, and he's a sophomore now. So he's right back where he started, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah, basically he's now a year behind because his senior friends moved on to college.
But he's also just bullied an entire group of guys in the cafeteria at one point.
That might not have all been seniors, so they might still be there.
Yeah,
when
they
got their
were
respect. No, he's got.
Okay.
In Grayson County High School, when you fight, you actually become friends afterwards.
Yeah. Okay.
This had to be a more
he's
thing
on a
too,
better.
right?
He's on a better foot now.
Yeah.
His sophomore.
Now he's feared because he will do terrible things to anybody who says no to him.
No one won't be his friend now.
No. That's more or less the gist of the movie. That's all like the important beats. I'm trying not to dive too deep into it. But let's get into a little discussion about it. So I want to start with, I think, the person we're most interested in hearing about, and that's Dylan. And I'll start out by saying this will probably be a lot less cringy in book form. But credit where credit's due. The movie's actually directed by the author of the book.
Yeah.
Stephen Chbosky.
Directed it.
Yeah.
Like,
directed
actually
directed it.
Not like,
Screenplay, directed the movie straight up through.
Wow.
It's the same author that went into directing.
So he got his vision for sure through this movie.
But also think about it, he's got his cast. You can't go, well, I don't want to say you can't go wrong with that cast, but like, you're going to get the right people.
I mean, it was a good cast.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'll sprinkle some more trivia as we go along through this little discussion, but I guess I'll just go ahead and say that for me personally, and then you guys feel free to leap in on this one. This was a little bit more cringe than I even find comfortable at times. And I like I like rom-com, not so much rom-com, I like teen drama, I like teen romance to certain extents, but this is getting a little too weird too often without the fun little dark undertones or twist until like the last 20 or 30 minutes. The first half of it is very hard.
I was going to say, it opens in such a difficult to deal with way.
Yes.
Like the first 12 minutes of it are just nothing but a cringe fest constantly, and you're just like, I hate this character.
Yeah.
He's so unlikable.
I'm not sure I love him by the time it's all said and done either. But
yeah, I mean, that's kind of fair too.
Well, and I feel like I don't know that it's like you just dislike him, but like he is not doing anything to where you want to feel for him. You want to like root for him. And it wouldn't take much to want to root for him.
Right.
He's not going that extra mile.
And I think the big thing about teen dramas too, if you're somebody who's not a teenager watching the movie, is that it is always trying to play towards something that you felt either an experience directly or indirectly through like a moment that just makes you think of it. Like you're like, oh god, I remember this cringe moment for me, or like we joked about Nathan's high school girlfriend who we assumed that he didn't say no to, and she just was just like Mary Elizabeth in this movie. So we're hitting close to home with it, but I think that's so much the point, is that this is, in a strange, weird way, cringe is kind of the fear of this genre. Like, it's not a horror movie trying to make you scared, but teen dramas really do try to go for, like, the cringe factor.
Well, I think what I would say to that is, as an adult who is no longer a teenager, it's cringy.
Yes,
for sure.
It for sure is.
Because it makes you think back to yourself and cringe, because you're like, oh man, I did that, and I really wish I could have just kept that memory repressed.
I was hoping to never remember that
again.
Yeah.
And I'm remembering it. Yeah. Whereas I think as a teen, it's just like, oh yeah, this is this is contemporary to my life experience right now.
And I want to go back to something Mason said a second ago, that like you want to like this character, but he seems inherently unlikable. And I think that, like, I asked them during the movie, we watched this together 2 minutes before this, and I asked them, I was like, is he like on the spectrum? Because like he seems like he has like a lot of like the signs of just being like mildly on the spectrum, because he's very smart, he's very introverted though. And it seems like if they were just like, yeah, he kind of is, but like very mild, like that kind of thing, I was like, okay, that makes me understand his character a little bit more. But with how he just acts and is presented, he just seems like almost like a jerk.
Yeah, so that, I feel like that's a difficult thing where it's like they were trying to portray like the being a product of like young childhood sexual abuse
trauma,
trauma, and that I mean, maybe that is how somebody might act, and it might not be that they are on the spectrum. It might just be that they are super reserved because of these things having happened to them.
Oh, totally.
But it certainly does kind of come off that way, and I don't know if there's a way that you can do it different.
Yeah.
Full circle. I don't dislike it because Charlie's supposed to be off-putting for some reason, right? Mm-hmm. And they effectively they hint with that with the ants.
And he's so off-putting, but everybody still just like gloms onto him and likes him anyway in the group of misfit toys, as Emma Watson liked to put it.
God, that one.
Let's be crazy together.
Yeah.
Let's be infinite.
Price, can you go ahead and bring up the point of movie or book lines and movies? Because I feel like you need to.
I mean, this is just like, what was that movie you made us watch? You already Flipped. Yeah. Where it's like the gnarly branches of the oak. I say that one all the time, but just like there are lines.
It was a sycamore.
Sycamore.
Like I get that the author probably thought himself was like he was very intelligent writing this or whatever, and it is very different when you just read it and it kind of goes through your mind. You're like, that was a deep line, but that was it. Mm-hmm. You don't like really picture it in a real life setting, but when
you don't hear it.
But when you hear them say "we are infinite" over and over, it's like we are love, what we deserve.
Yeah, 2 times.
Only 2 times.
2 times.
But
it's just
still, it's a weird thing for somebody to say in real life. It totally plays fine in a book, but in real life, it does feel weird that somebody would ever say something like
All
that.
the most jarring lines are only said twice, which is just one more time than...
Paul Rudd's character said a line twice.
Yeah.
Well, his line was said twice.
Right.
And you heard the F word, but not the F word you're thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
And then that we are infinite twice.
So...
They really pushed it.
Big time.
It is in Pittsburgh, by the way. I found that.
Okay, cool.
Other bit of random trivia that I felt like was worth chewing on. John Hughes originally wanted to buy the rights on this film, which makes sense. I mean, John Hughes is the guy who did like all of the '80s teen drama stuff, like the Say Anything,
you know that?
16 Candles.
16 Candles. You know the guy with like the boombox outside the rain, and he's just like
that's what that's from.
John Hughes, Say Anything. Yeah. So
I've seen that everywhere. That meme.
Right. Yeah, because it's like it's the staple like teen drama, all that stuff, right? John Hughes, to nobody's surprise, wanted this because he was like, yeah, this is right in my wheelhouse. But apparently he wanted to make it a dark comedy featuring Shia LaBeouf as the main character, Kirsten Dunst as Sam, and some guy I don't know.
Could you imagine?
But can you imagine Kirsten Dunst in the 90s? Like, this is Mary Jane, Kirsten Dunst at that time, and Shia LaBeouf.
This would have to be...
With a dark comedy tone.
This will lead into my tagline review of this movie. It's like, it would have to go very dark, because, as I've been wanting to say this whole time, this movie is the Spider-Man 3 of trauma. Let that sink in. Okay. Because think how Spider-Man 3 just had way too many villains that it needed to. It didn't need all that. Like, it could have just had one and had a movie. Mm-hmm. This one, every character had some kind of deep set, like, trauma. Like, all of them.
You're right.
Right.
No, you're right.
There's not, like, one person in there that's just like, I just like hanging out with these people. Mm-hmm. Like, there's not one.
Whoa.
Alice was rich.
Nope, just like
she was a
klepto.
She was a klepto.
That's
trauma still. Like,
no.
Okay, not trauma, but like something like
whatever. She got her character fleshed out.
So everybody has one negative character quirk.
Yeah.
Like if we
it's
don't
like
go as far
an initiation.
Okay, so I haven't read the book. Does her character go any deeper than the klepto?
No. The book. He said the book's like
the book's like that big.
Then she's not even worth mentioning. Like even his sister is like in an abusive relationship.
You needed like a group setting though.
Right.
Like, oh, here's all these freaking crazy people. They were the Rocky Horror Picture Show, basically.
Right,
all these people in real life.
Again, I don't care.
Well, I know,
not everybody like, hey, you want to be in our group? What traumatic thing has happened to you?
But is this a challenging realism thing, or is this a challenging are you just annoyed by the concept?
I'm just annoyed that like it's trying to do
because
too
it
much.
Actually got me around to the reason why the main character would have been accepted by this group. Because it's definitely a thing that people that are like the subject of trauma find commonality and are attracted to one another.
Remember what happened?
To be together with each other.
He said something about his aunt or whatever, and then guess what? Emma Watson came up, held his face, and said, "You belong with us." Blah blah. Like that was the initiate. That was the hazing. That was the box that got checked.
Right. So I don't. And like Preston may just dislike it. I'm guessing just because he's just annoyed with how it presents and falls through. But I don't think it's I don't think it's an unorganic thing. Like, nor do I think that it's something that doesn't happen. I think there are plenty of groups that come together and everybody is from a disastrous background because there's just natural magnetism for that culture and lifestyle.
Absolutely.
I think
that is like
that definitely happens.
Kind of shifted my perspective on
this.
That's
not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this movie is biting off more than it can chew. Like even though it is a 1 hour 40-minute runtime, which is pretty lengthy for a teen drama like this, like it's dealing with a lot of really heavy topics. It doesn't give the time necessary to really like delve into all the topics that it bites off.
Right, well, anybody but Charlie and, I mean, I guess Derek's to the point as well, because they get into, like, the LGBT stuff pretty decently in this movie.
He beat that over the head pretty well in this movie.
Only twice. But
he says that he's gay. I don't know how many times. Like, that's pretty much the defining feature of that character.
Okay, I'm not saying that they do it exceptionally well, but it is, alright, so you want this character to you get Charlie threading the thing, and it's kind of like this little dark mystery thing in the background. Derek gets to be openly gay throughout the entire film, and then Emma Watson has just
a closeted boyfriend who is a member of the football team.
I feel like Derek is the right guy, because it was Ponytail Derek.
Yeah.
It's like Ezra Miller.
Whatever, Ezra Miller. You know
I don't remember his name.
I don't know. That's all. Patrick! Thank you. That's Annabeth, everybody. Annabeth, like this video. You're rewatching it right now.
She made cookies.
Thank you, Annabeth. Thanks, Annabeth. Merry Christmas.
Well, I don't feel like an hour 40 is actually that long. It's 100 minutes.
Well, don't spoil your load for the segment for
later.
later.
I'm just saying, it's just like I thought that this movie had a very good tempo. I will give it that much. Where like you knew what you were dealing with within the first 30 minutes. Unfortunately, like Nathan said earlier, it's very cringy in that you don't really like the character, and guess what? You don't much like him throughout the rest of it either as much. But like, I don't know. I don't feel like an hour 40 is biting off too much.
It just has so much in there. Like it doesn't even have enough runtime to do what it needs to do. Or it's like this person was abused by their uncle, and this person was abused by their aunt, and she's getting slapped by her boyfriend.
Don't
and
go to
he's just gay.
Pittsburgh.
It's just like.
Pittsburgh
calm
is
down.
terrible.
Pick a lane. Like deal with one trauma at a time.
Well, they did. They picked Charlie's. They want to give you sneak
They
peeks.
stayed in that
sequels.
lane whenever they were driving through the tunnel. Did you not see it?
I just disagree. I think it was good for just going after everything and like not trying to fix everything, because not everything gets fixed, and not like try and dive too deep into it, because like the story is really focused on him, but it adds meaning and depth to everybody else by being like, everything kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, them all being together, they were having a really good time.
They were having a good time. They were doing a lot of drugs. They
were
like all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of kissing.
You know what thing kind of
different parties. A lot of
kind of gets me though. Besides Price's belly with Cookout,
is shut up.
It needs to turn it down. The thing that gets me is I wish there was one small change to it, and I know it kind of takes away like the early like leaping off point for this movie, but if they could just make Charlie like a junior.
Yeah, a freshman makes no sense.
A freshman feels very jarring for a part of this. I'm not saying that's like again not something that couldn't happen. But just the way that leaves the story all said and done by the time it's all wrapped, like I don't feel like it's worth the payoff of sitting here and saying he's getting bullied for this. He could have been bullied just as much as a junior, and make him a junior. That just like moves here.
Exactly. Make him a transfer student as a junior, because seniors hanging out with freshmen it really doesn't vibe that
much. Because mentally I'm like age.
I'm not saying it never happens, but it's a really hard
I was about to say in Grayson County High School. I've told you guys how that works.
Because like he is just in this. If anything, he should be invincible.
He's infinite.
Well, before all that, like he's getting bullied and all this stuff.
Those are the two times I'll say.
Oh, that bully scene that it opened up was the dumbest thing.
Hey, are you done with your essay?
Get him!
Oh, you already did all your homework? Right. Well, you're gonna get beat up. Like, and there was the girl too.
Yeah.
Like
the one that called him a.
The girl is uncharacteristically aggressive, and it is not. And I'm not saying that girls can't be that character.
I mean, sure, but man.
I choose to believe that she actually is so hot for him.
Oh, yeah.
But
she's got trauma of her own, okay?
No,
everyone has their
They didn't have
trauma.
time, Price.
I've learned that from this movie.
But also,
this movie was an hour and 43 minutes.
Yeah.
We can include her trauma.
We would have known.
She would have had her moment where she broke down and started crying. And
I hate that
in the bathroom.
Right when Paul Rudd was like, "Who's going to read a book this summer?" And he was like, raised his hand because it looked at the girl. The camera looked at the girl, and she's like,
I am, but I'm not going to talk
I was
about
beat
it.
with books because I was a smart kid.
A librarian touched me inappropriately.
And it's like, oh, like the movie's like, we'll glance over that. Just like everything else.
Yeah. Just make him a junior. I think that just mentally clicks a lot better for me in a lot of ways, just because I'm like, all right, man, he's probably 14 at this time.
Well, the only reason why like a freshman, I guess, kind of works is like the dynamic between him and Emma Watson's character. The age difference in like a relationship at that point is pretty unsteady. So like, for him to shoot for her
4 years
makes sense.
Well, think about it. Seniors normally graduate at 18. Freshmen are probably like 14 or something.
Right.
Yeah. So like
that's a big difference.
But you ask any 14-year-old boy if they see themselves maybe with an 18-year-old, senior, like maybe that's
do it vice versa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just like it's more plausible for him than it would be for her.
I agree. No, I agree. I think that very rarely do you see 18-year-old girls dating 14-year-old.
And you saw her sort of, I don't want to say lead him on, but there was a lot of instances where, she was giving him a lot of hope.
Right.
But that's just the teenage drama of it.
Blow your pants off right now. Is everyone holding their pants?
No.
Because you're about to get something big here.
Blow them off.
I want to say something I actually did like about this movie.
Oh yeah.
And no sarcasm at all. It was the end part right after Sam, Hermione, whatever, left.
Mm-hmm.
Like that part I thought was really good because
it just happened.
Because he's processing everything at the same time. He's like, she's gone, and I thought I loved her, and then the reason I love her is because she kind of has trauma that my aunt inflicted to me, and he'd been you see these flashes of his aunt the whole movie, and you're like, oh, they had a really loving relationship, and then you realize and then it's oh, let's just keep this our little secret. And you're like, oh shit,
she did.
So that's why he's been acting like this the whole time, and that's why he loves Hermione, and then it all has come rushing to him at the same time, and then he reaches out to the one person that could possibly help him. And that's when she gets the call and she realizes how bad he is, and before he even says very much, she's call the police and tell him to go over there. It's this. I thought that was really well done. I did like that part.
Right. I think that on first watch, that is the big ball drop. And me and Price were on the same boat with that. Evidently, you two saw it coming a little bit more.
I mean, not by much. I think the moment they actually gave the tell.
Sure.
the touching of the
guy
that
thing,
was immediately I was like, oh, okay.
It kept doing that over,
I remember suspecting because I was like, oh, that is a thing that happens, isn't it? And then I was just like,
Well, that's something that I like about this movie is it's PG-13. I'm pretty sure we've all agreed.
Yeah.
It's dark. I mean, it's not crazy dark, but it is enough to where they're not afraid to go there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not afraid to say some of the words that they've said.
Woo! They dropped some words.
They're not afraid to beat the shit out of people in the cafeteria. They try to hit some of these dark moments, all these trauma moments.
Nina Dobrev gets the shit slapped out of her by Ponytail Dave or whatever.
This is my biggest point of the whole movie is I don't really know who this movie is for, because I watched this movie probably at 19, and I remember liking it. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is probably not a good movie for 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, freshmen in high school, in my opinion. I don't know.
I mean, good is subjective. I think it's.
Would you feel good about watching this?
I think it's kind of like
that. I feel like I'd watch this as a freshman.
What was that?
Would you feel good about it?
I would want to feel bad about it.
What's the movie we were talking about a while back where it's if you had to go through something like this to understand the movie? There was a movie we talked about pretty recently where you kept saying it over and over, and I was then it's a very narrow demographic.
I think it was something for both of us.
Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what it was.
Sorry.
That's what it was.
You had to be an anime to sit there and get an anime.
Maybe somebody will remember it here in a second, but
put it in the comments below if you remember what the hell.
It's a very narrow demographic who this movie is for, or
couldn't say it better myself.
And it's hard to really embrace these characters, the cringe. Everybody else in here was cringing when when he was oh, you're my boyfriend now. Yeah. And it's Nathan was curled up in a ball, and I was Nathan is he's such a nice guy that I could see that being the case for him, but no, I'm a dick. I'm being no, what are you talking about?
Yeah, sorry, we weren't all alpha chads in high school.
I can assure you I was not an alpha chad.
big Dick Price going around the locker room. Banging all the hot cheerleaders. We get it, Price.
Yeah, but
if anybody knew me in high school, they know that's not the case.
But you're right. No one over the age of 40 is going to like this movie. Most people over the age of 30, you might be a little scarce.
Yeah.
Maybe people in their 20s. and I think very few between like 10 and 20.
I disagree. I think that the teenagers are. I'll put it for like this, right? Like having read the book and remember being a very big fan of this, and like because I read the book in freshman year,
yeah.
Like I kind of like on again off again read it, like a little bit later in between, but like all the content is. I mean, it's not one for one. There's like I'm trying to remember what the small tweaks are, but essentially all the main beats are there, right?
Yeah.
So, and I didn't get a chance to reread the book beforehand, so darn it. But I was going to do a side by side review, but overall, like I think this content still lands with teen. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're having teenagers who enjoy being miserable and trauma bonding and things like that. And
if
you're
still a teenager,
I think this is more relevant and more popular for the Gen Z crowd than it is for even the millennial ones. They're growing up in shootings and earthquake tornadoes and all sorts of bullying. Right.
Well, yeah, I think I don't know if I would say I don't know like
it's tough.
Nowadays things are definitely. I would imagine different
yeah,
right.
for the high school
They won't find it
environment.
as relatable because this will be like, this is like if you went to school as a millennial. Like Gen Z, that's the only problem is that they'll see a lot of the age tropes of like...
Well, and this movie was also based in the 90s, so this one was fairly hard to
right.
relate a little bit for us when you said it was a lot like your high school.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's just a little bit different, but like...
Right.
Yeah, you think about kids that are in high school right now, 30 years prior to whatever this thing is based in.
Yeah.
He had a desktop monitor.
He had an RC Cola.
I mean, I don't even mean just like the technology and such, but
Yeah.
just like the kind of like the degree of acceptance of like the gay character in the story, and like the dad of the closeted gay character as well, like,
being aggressively anti-gay.
I don't think that kind. I don't know. I mean, I don't actually know, but I feel like that kind of stuff doesn't quite happen the way that it does anymore.
Less so and more so depending.
Oh,
on
I disagree.
areas.
Like in the Bible Belt and stuff.
Bible Belt, that stuff all still sticks.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, maybe not as much
This
there.
is supposed to be a northern place.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
Not
Are any of us from
generalizing.
Northeast?
Me.
No. So then we can't
you
really
can't tell me
vouch.
where I'm from if I can't tell you where you're from.
That doesn't work that way.
All right.
So anyway, I want to get into the next bit.
Yes.
There's a question.
Let's do it.
Question.
That's burning in my soul.
With the burning passion.
Burning passion. But real quick, by the way, you've seen her, Kelly. Tried making her watch Promare, which we talk about. She agreed with all of them. So apparently I'm the dumb that is the only one that likes that movie.
She's right, and Price is right in that description.
Sounds right. Go ahead, Dylan.
So, shout out to our biggest fan, Mason. That's actually him right here.
Whoa.
Oh, I was like,
he,
what am I
he
doing?
wrote this question because I forgot I had to write a question for this movie. But I love it because it was actually probably a question I was going to come to because all I kept thinking was this.
It's pretty close.
All right, so who's worse? Craig? Or Craig?
Yep.
Yeah, Craig, Soy Boy Beta Cup himself?
From
Or-
It's Kind of a Funny Story, the hospital movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or Charlie.
Or Charlie. I'm going to pass it to Nathan. I want him to digest it. Take your time.
Okay, I've already got my answer.
All right, but I passed it to Nathan.
He's still thinking.
So, Price, go ahead.
I'll give you time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Who's worse? I would go with Craig from It's Kind of a Funny Story because what he does seems more like malicious to like hurt people. And like I can't remember exactly. I just remember him being like a dick and like what he does like actually really affects people.
Yeah.
Charlie seems like he kind of comes from a good place. Like he's again like it just seems like he really is like very mildly on the spectrum because like especially when they ask him like, hey, truth or dare, and that was a really funny part where he's like says truth and he's like, I just wish we had cancer and one of us died. But anyway, then the dare comes and it's like kiss whoever you want, and he just immediately without thinking thinking nothing at all
repercussions
just kisses
come.
Sam and just like that, doesn't think about the repercussions. He just does it instinctually.
There's
so
like wholesome intent. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like he doesn't realize like what the outcome is. He just does what he's thinking at the time, and he doesn't have malicious intent, which I think is the big difference between the two.
Yeah, I was really my pause was just trying to remember what happened in that other movie.
I know, I keep thinking It Follows too, because it's the same guy.
The main thing I remember is him kissing the hot girl when
the
other one
when Emma Roberts
liked him was in eyesight.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're totally right. He did a lot more things that were just like extremely selfish, and I don't think the main character in the story was particularly selfish in that sort of way.
Especially when like he blacked out and he like attacked those people. Like I think that kind of shows more of where his
his
heart is.
The problems with him were that he was quiet and reserved and that like felt awkward. But I don't ever think he came from a bad place with any of his decisions. So I think he's absolutely a better person.
I'm gonna be the opposite, the contrarian here.
You can call that the price around here.
The price, yeah. I'm gonna be Price Bell. It's not that I think that Craig was a better person.
That's the question.
I know. It's just I think I respect Craig a little bit more.
That's not the question.
Because he's knee deep in 2 hot ladies and what's
and Charlie's only
Charlie's
one and a half.
one.
1.5.
Yeah. Mary Elizabeth isn't bad, all things considered.
Well,
no, like when she shows up at the house,
yeah,
and it like her dad's like, "What's up with that hair?" And like,
"What's up with this Buddhist?"
Like she looks cute.
Yeah, she's looking cute. She
yeah,
stuff. She did her makeup good.
She dyed a little fringe.
Yeah, she got a little rogue streak.
Yeah, like she looked really cute.
99's X-Men probably just came out, and she's feeling it. Yeah, she's trendy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Craig is just he had a better not arc, but like start to finish. Honestly, Craig could be autistic. That guy, I mean, I'm not going to argue one way or the other, because I think there could be, go either way, right?
I don't remember that much about Craig.
Oh, man.
He was all up in here. I mean, it was all up here, where Charlie was all in here.
I don't understand anything of what Mason's saying.
I got you, Mason. So, I would sit here and say that, like, these 2 movies are kind of like, if we imagine them being one movie in different spectrum, not intended, as a joke on this one. So, we get Charlie, who is, like, less internal about his like ongoing mental health struggles and stuff like that, and the focus isn't so much there, but it's looming back in the background, right?
Yeah.
It's more about living a social life as a high schooler, while as Craig is very much about living high school as a mental health person with like the social stuff in the background. So it flipped its priorities. If you're looking at social focus versus mental health focus, they're just the other way around, but almost the same character in that way.
I think they're very similar.
Yeah, and you could say that in this movie, he's very much trying to hide the like mental health side.
Right, it's not trying to speak a narrative about it.
Whereas Craig was literally in the hospital. Everyone found out he was in the hospital. Right. He was like the cool guy, Craig, which I know that burns you.
Yeah, cool.
But just Craig. Like, I don't know. I just like Craig a little bit more.
I got a follow-up question. It's very similar to that. Who's more thirsty? Charlie from this movie or Soy Boy Beta Cuck
from It Follows?
From It Follows.
It Follows.
Yeah.
It Follows, Craig.
That guy
he was willing to
make
die.
Like an alien
that kills you.
Like, all right, I'll put it this way.
Hey, it was the show.
Charlie couldn't even get past his trauma to hook up with Sam.
You mean this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just shut him down. Craig was like, "Kill me, let me die, let something,
kill me, mommy."
Let
if she
something
would touch me with her
scare
pinky,
me. Yeah,
that would be enough for me to just die.
He was like, "I would let whatever come in and fuck me dead to sit there and have sex with you." Yeah, he is the thirstiest beta that has ever been.
Nah, it was a shot.
It was
but we got let's get a little bit into the scores and stuff like that.
Fat Thin.
You're right. There's Fat Thin first. And we're getting used to this routine. Anyway, so Fat Thin Perfectly Fit. We know it. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not allowed to.
Yep.
So I'll start it off by saying, I won't lie. Minute 40. I think it's fit. I think the tempo and pacing. It used every bit of its money on this one. They went to this movie with $15 in their pocket, and the tickets were maybe like $14.89.
Yes.
So like
they had just enough. They even said keep the change.
They said,
I don't want 11 cents.
I don't want it. I don't want to explain the girl who hates me.
I don't want it.
I know. No, I think that it surprised me how well this used him because I called it early on. As soon as I saw the runtime 140, I was just like, it's fat already. Mm-hmm. I was so sure. But honestly, the pacing and everything like that, they hit all the notes they need to.
They wrapped up the whole school year. They hit it start to finish. It didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome. It hit its point, and then it raised up to acceleration, and then just wrapped on its note.
Yeah. Well, and to piggyback off you, I agree. I also like that it didn't have that fucking middle of the story downbeat where he gets ostracized by the group. It did not spend any amount of time on that, which was amazing. I love
that. Still happened.
It happened, but it wasn't 28 minutes.
Right.
It wasn't like a chunk of the movie of him figuring out how to get back. It was just boom.
He
we're
wrote
right
on
back
a
in
typewriter
there.
and then he got into a fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
That's a
was
really
it.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
because
the movie's
I harp on
underappreciated
that
for
a lot.
I
Yeah.
hate those downbeats
Yeah.
like that, and it's so predictable. Like as soon as that happened, I was like, "Here we fucking go."
It's classic movie narrative, so I think that there's I agree with you. That's something I actually wasn't even going to take into consideration. Like, they made the main conflict just a speed bump. They're like, nope, we're telling the story. It's not going to need to sit here for that long. We know how painful this is.
Yeah, and like these are actually friends that want to be friends and aren't going to just be like,
because
we're not
it's high
friends
school.
anymore
Right.
forever.
I wonder if that comes from it, like the movie director actually being the writer though, and he probably sees those tropes all the time as well. And it's just like, I don't want to fucking spend time directing that. Like, fuck that. I'm keeping on moving. We got an hour 40. I'm spending an hour 40.
And to be honest too, if we're looking at like segmented times, the very end, like the last 10 to 15 minutes when he had called his sister, like the whole breakdown actually really happened.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't spend a ton of time on that either. I mean. The therapy kind of session went a little bit slower there towards the very end.
It's more like a therapy check-in, but yeah.
Yeah, the check-in.
Hey, you still alive in here?
Yeah.
Cool.
How you doing? You remember me from when you were like 5? Oh, okay.
See you Thursday.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It was they didn't stay on anything too long.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to my normal nature because I am disagreeing with the other three. I think it's thin. And it's not thin for like, I wanted more. It's thin. It's thin for like, it bit off more than it can chew. I already said it. I don't need to repeat my point.
It's like Sam's anorexic problems that she jokes about.
I love bulimia.
Yeah.
Did you hear that one?
I did hear that
I
one.
didn't catch that.
Oh, that one I caught, yeah.
It's just, it tries biting off, like it just chops some of like the trauma off on some of the characters and just it didn't need it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So it needed more time to do what it wanted to do, or just like chop that stuff out, which I would have preferred.
Price always wants weird things out of these
I know.
movies.
He wanted a 2-hour-long Parks
I know.
movie.
I know. Who would have thunk it?
Maybe there's a
Who would
director's
have thunk
cut.
by the time? Oh,
That's
man.
not what I'm wanting. What I'm wanting is for it to be shorter and focus on maybe Charlie and Sam and have like Ezra Miller like just occasionally like being
Popping
his
in as
character
the
on the
gay
side.
best friend.
Yeah,
Right.
like not being a main character, just being like kind of a side.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
So, I mean, I hear a lot about what Price wants from it, but I want to know what the people wanted out of this, and more
Oh, here we
importantly,
go.
what they thought about it.
Killer segue though.
We have to do our scores first.
Right.
That
So
way we're not.
we're not influenced by the reviews.
Yes.
Right. So first comes
reverse
first.
order.
Reverse calculator.
I'm glad I get to know
Okay.
for you.
Well, so simply put, this movie does have a lot of flaws with it. It is cringy in a lot of parts, and the quotes from books being directly said by characters is certainly awkward. But even with just talking about it and like kind of getting more perspective on it, I think I'm gonna land at a 7 with it. Like it's above average, but it's not like it's definitely not the best I've ever seen. But I enjoyed it overall. I mean, it had a lot of qualms, but it didn't slow down in any parts. It kept itself fairly light on its feet.
Yeah.
So I like it for
This
that.
is a movie that's moving. It does not care to stop. Now, before Price gives his score, I want to point out Price's commentary during the trailer from last episode.
That was going to be my leading remark.
Is this may be my lowest rated movie I have ever watched.
All of us are excited to hear what comes out of Price.
Well, you all thought the same thing. Everyone, after watching the trailer, was like,
I did too.
that
I
was
like,
terrible.
This is going to be a horrible
Like, this is going to be
movie.
terrible.
I've been wanting to watch this movie for a long time, and watching the trailer, I shot myself out of it.
You were like, there's no way I'm coming out.
I'm like, all right, I lied. I don't want to watch this movie as much as I thought I do.
And it was like every trope of every teen drama in a trailer.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be terrible. Cringy lines, terrible characters, just awful music.
Mm-hmm.
And it did surprise me. I mean, it's not over that 5 hump by any means. But I still kind of enjoyed my time with it. It did something different. Like I said, I really did, like, no qualms about that, like, the part after they leave for college, that little, like, 5 minutes chunk. Like, I thought that was really original, and I thought that, like, the movie earned that. I thought that was really cool. But still, it has that teen drama kind of aspect under it, with the cringy lines and just the characters being almost very one note. Like, this is the one that's gay. This is the one that is acting out.
Doesn't
this
know
is like,
herself.
yeah, it's just like they're kind of one note and they don't get developed too much when it has an hour and 40 to develop like 3 characters with a few on the side, and they didn't do that well. But the music I did like, surprisingly. I thought that the soundtrack, besides like the beginning, like singer-songwriter garbage, like they got some like weird picks that I thought were pretty good. So it's one of the more top, I guess, teen drama picks that we've watched, and somehow I'm landing at a 4.5.
Nice. That's a. I mean, I'm floored. That's great.
I
was very excited to hear. Yeah. But I think he nailed it. I think all of us are coming out a little bit ahead of what we thought, if not a lot ahead. So prior to us sitting down and watching this movie, I had rated this, but I had forgotten because I've only ever seen it once. I had it at an 8. And I was giving it all types of shit because it is. It's art housey. It's very indie-ish. It seems indie. Like an indie.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know anyone like these characters. I've never met people like this. I've never seen any friend groups that have this type of dynamic. I don't know that that's very realistic. It might be. Maybe Grayson County had some. I don't know. All of these characters were so pretentious. And I don't think that, like...
It's a Northeastern thing, I think.
I guess it is.
Yeah.
Well, they were all so wealthy.
Yeah.
Every one of these people was wealthy.
Yeah, the 6-car garages.
God bless.
All of them had money. The dad rolls out the fucking wads of 50s. Here you go, champ.
They talked to one person. They said one person was wealthy in this movie, and I'd hate to see what
so
she lives.
How rich is she?
Jesus Christ. Yeah. That was probably her 6-car garage.
She has a 10-car garage.
Yeah. My dad's Bill Gates.
So with all of like the cringiness, all of the cringiness in this movie, and with all of that it actually does accomplish, I still landed at an 8. I did not expect it, but it's the ending. I hate that. It did remind me of that like jukebox or like the Breakfast Club with the arm up.
Don't you?
That's what this was at the very end of the movie for me.
It was a John Hughes nod for sure.
But aside from that, I think this is a really good movie. It was, I don't know. It still had tropes in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so funny. I feel like in the whole period of watching this movie, my score has gone all over the place.
You're just grabbing for every which way that it goes.
So, watching the trailer, I mentally started at a 6. I won't lie.
Maybe less.
Could have even been less. Yeah, it could have been this could have been executed very poorly. Watching the movie, starting out, I was like solidly a 6. But I honestly now I almost come to appreciate like the extra cringe in the beginning of the movie, and it's not that it never goes like cringe list, but it's very front heavy in how you feel disconnected and very teened into it. But knowing that the whole direction of the movie is taking you into this lull and having this moment to sit there and say it's not a full twist, so to speak, but it gives you just enough and with enough breadcrumbs there to get you there. It feels earned. I feel like the runtime is great. I feel like a lot of things that I typically like in these movies, I'm like, it's doing pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah.
Like
it might be slipping just a cut, it might be some like slick roads.
Don't get me wrong.
Tires are slipping occasionally.
It's like
it was winter through most.
It was winter. It's the Northeast though, so yeah. Wah! Yeah, so no, there's a lot of tropes. There's a lot of cheese. There's a lot of cringe. If you're a teen drama person, this is a movie that you'll probably like, but you'll also like you'll cringe along sometimes a little too much, and you're like, that's a little too much of the teen drama. I like it, I just like a little ketchup on my stuff. I don't like it to be covered in ketchup.
My tummy loves ketchup.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Probably.
Yes.
All that sugar and corn syrup.
Yeah. So all the time, by the time it's said and done, I'm only a little less hot on it than Mason. I'm at a 7.5. It worked its way. Yeah, it's a big leap.
Dude, none of us were expecting that type of a movie.
I looked very close at it being a 7, but honestly, like the runtime really impressed me. The sitting there, not sitting in its like conflict hurdles. Nathan's point really won me over to 0.5 on this one because I was like, you're right. It didn't stick in that like friendship thing because in the book it feels like that's like a chapter or two at least.
That's the turmoil.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's something like again, because the interesting fact of it being like the person who wrote the book also directed the movie. In hindsight, just being like, oh, let's shrink that up. I can tell that's the part that's like not a lot of fun. I appreciate the decisions made on this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I land on 7.5. It does a lot of things way better than I thought it was going to, given the credit and expectations I had. But
something annoys me though, is that I think everybody's score is inflated because we watched it together.
You're right.
Mean, that
there is the possibility of group viewing with that.
Factor in.
Yeah, because
sure.
Let's be real. Let's be real. What would have happened is I probably would have watched it first.
Yeah.
Price, while he was watching, he would have been sending out Snapchats.
He would have been texting
and just screaming about it on our chat.
They just said infinite again!
Dylan would have been just rolling out jokes while he's seeing
I would have been watching it while I was
8 minutes
answering emails. Towards the end of the day.
Nathan would have been calling his high school girlfriend and saying, I'm so glad I broke up with you finally while watching this.
Where it is a lot of fun separately to like receive these messages and like talk about it, but this definitely helped.
No, group view definitely helped. Like I won't lie, if I watch this individually, I'd probably still land on a 7. But because if we all come to the same points that we bring into this, I still am like, nah, Nathan wins me over. Like it feels a 7. It feels very safely in 7.
Yeah.
But the experience of being able to like kind of make fun of it along the way whenever it's at its worst definitely helps the experience. Yeah. So. Yeah. Watch it with friends. But speaking...
My favorite moment of us actually watching it together, though, before you go,
is
the beginning of the movie where they throw him in the closet for having his homework done, and nobody said anything, and then Nathan and I looked at each other like, what?
Did you guys not get thrown in closets for doing your English assignments early? Classes hated that. Speaking of classes and peers, I want to see what our other peers in the critic universe thought about this movie.
The others
our fellow
our fellow critics.
Our brethren.
Guys, we've been doing this for like 4 years now. I think we can safely say that we're just as much critic as anybody else.
So. People need to be taking us seriously.
Yeah, they need to put some spec on the name.
We need press screeners.
If we could.
We need the blinds.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, I'm going to start with Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes started with a fresh 85%. 89% from audiences, which honestly incredibly surprised me. Who was
art house people, man?
Dude, art house people, and it must have just strictly been the art house people then, because I don't know who was running out to the theaters to watch this in like that time. Book fans who are already gonna have a bias, I guess.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Art house people probably do like that actually kind of makes more sense. The people who rushed out to see it in theaters at the time.
Speaking of art house, it was really weird how they kept doing the Rocky Horror thing.
Yeah.
Like on Saturdays at midnight or whatever, and they're in very risque clothing, and they're supposed to be like underage.
You know what that
Shout
was?
out to Hazard County, Kentucky.
You know what that was? That was like showing how much they bonded as a group. Like that group was together.
I'm not talking about the group. I'm talking about the audience members who are purchasing tickets to see kids.
So there's
risque clothing.
The shop teacher's definitely in there looking for Derek. Like there's a lot of sexual energy there.
You keep calling him Derek.
I don't remember his name.
Ezra Miller.
I know Ezra Miller. Yeah, but Patrick.
Ponytail Derek is the woman slapper.
That's so cool. I love him.
Dude.
Yeah, after she gets slapped, she's like, it's Ponytail Derek.
How could I?
Which was your favorite?
To be fair, Nina Dubray says that line straight face. And I love her for that.
Come on, Charlie.
Just that.
You think I can't handle Ponytail Derek?
You think I can't handle I'm going to pull him and call him mommy later. Anyway, Metacritic for the record gave it a strong 67.
That sounds about more
normal people who went to go watch this or stumbled into this movie were not the most impressed with it.
I didn't know Metacritic had movie reviews.
Yeah, they have movie reviews too.
That floors me. I did not know that. I thought
that was just weird.
I thought that was just.
I thought just sweaty people went on there to bomb review.
Nope, the same video game nerds also watched this movie and they said 67. But
what's that wheel?
Without further ado,
I'll hold it.
No, it goes on my knees.
All right, then
Nathan spin it.
Nathan spins.
All right, here we go.
I'm so excited. I love this part.
I want Devil all the time. I want that bad education slot to finally.
I want it to be Annihilation. It's gonna be Casablanca.
It will be.
Casablanca hasn't been picked yet.
What did I say? What did I say? Flip that fucking wheel. If you could be a bear, be a grizzly bear. Make sure. Get that trailer rolling. Oh my god.
He called that at the beginning of the video, viewers. The very beginning of the video.
I am a god.
I've seen this movie like 3 times.
Oh man, I'm so excited to watch this movie and talk
about
it. I've seen it once, but I've been looking for a reason to rewatch it again.
There's more Wheel of Time stuff on your YouTube, like always.
Oh yeah.
15 things dogs love most.
All right.
You have a weird collection.
So we're gonna pull up the trailer.
You've never even seen a dog.
Let's max it. Oh. I love BD Wong.
It's just a good chance for me to see Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
I'm always down for that.
Oscar Isaac's great too.
You think I'm out in the garden hiding, looking up at the
I can't believe that came first.
When did this come out? This has been out a while.
2018 or something.
Yeah,
No.
it's a newer movie.
Let me see him.
actually told me to read this book like this year.
It was his decision to go in.
I bet the book's just as much of a trip.
Well, it's like a saga, like a
Oh,
trilogy.
it's a series.
Oh, that looks like the Color Out of Space.
Yeah, it has Color Out of Space vibes in its appearance, but
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it, Nathan?
no, he hasn't
The
seen
Color
it.
Out of Space or
No,
this?
this movie.
I've not seen this.
I knew what happened. I could save his life. The boundary's getting bigger. It's expanding. We're talking cities.
Wait,
comes
is
the
she
deer.
in the military
Here
too?
comes the deer. Yeah, she has
Yeah.
like some kind
Is
of.
that the female Ghostbusters? Is that
Yeah.
a prequel to it?
This is Ocean's 8.
I want to see the deer.
Yeah.
Check this out.
There you go.
It's like they're stuck in a continuous rotation. Are they staying there? No.
Oh, I mean, it looks cool so far.
Not possible. You can't crossbreed different species. What is it?
Love Tessa Thompson. God,
But
that
yeah,
She was
this
in
is
this.
feeling very like Color Out of Space Lovecraft.
Yeah. No, it's super Lovecrafty.
We have to go back. I can't go back. We can camp here tonight.
Oh man.
It's destroying everything.
Let's be honest. I would 1v1 that bear.
No. No, shut the fuck
Is that a
up.
bear?
It's supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Something new.
I don't want to spoil anything about that bear.
But you ain't
Yeah,
winning.
You know, I'm down for watching
That
this. This
trailer
looks great.
gave away like
Way.
almost everything.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
yes and
that's
no.
You know what though? It doesn't
Yes,
cover
it
a
did.
bit of the last like 15 or 20 minutes. A bit.
Then
of it.
watch the last 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, 15 to 20 minutes. It, could,
That's ridiculous how much they give away in the
It's-
trailer.
it shows a lot. It shows a lot. But it doesn't show. It doesn't go to the lengths of showing the severity of it. Anyway.
No, I agree, but like I'm talking about the fact that like the trailer. I guess we'll get more into
Yeah,
the
we'll-
actual review,
We'll
but
save it for the review. Let's
It
talk,
gives a
let's
lot.
talk less because
Yeah.
Nathan hasn't seen it, so I want him to go in there without.
well, think about
remembering
like in the
confused.
trailer, it shows
No,
that
I-
like she even goes back. Like they
Yeah.
like they go and then they come back and then they have to go back to whatever
I
that
didn't
is.
actually.
I didn't see
catch
that.
Right,
Oh,
I didn't
thanks,
see that.
Price.
Yeah, Ralph Price.
It said it explicitly.
Price, you have to remember that
See,
people
you
spend
gotta remember
less
too
mental
that I'm
time.
a visual person. And
Right,
you
he's
guys
just
are talking,
absorbed.
so I'm just looking at it. I'm
Yeah.
not listening to it.
Just let him. Just
All right.
All right, three of us have seen it. And I've only seen it once. You said about 3 times.
It's one of those that's on
once.
Hulu, and you just kind of like put it on because it's beautiful. It's a really nice looking movie.
It's a
It
pretty
is.
movie. I think Nathan's gonna score well just for the visuals alone.
You should watch it though, like not like have like chores on in the background and stuff.
Yeah,
It has
yeah,
really
you
cool,
need it.
It has really.
You
cool
need to be in the
visuals.
immersion of this movie. Don't
So
you
I
fucking
need to be
do it.
sitting in here. I need to have the light.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Darkness, otherwise.
Okay, but it's
Sorry.
not like Mad Max visuals or something, but like it's cool.
It's not insane,
cool.
but the visuals are very well done. But that's all more, thoughts on it for whenever we do the review. If you liked our review of The Perks of Being a Wallflower, if you felt cringe in your teen years, if you know some people who were touched by their aunt, let us know in the comments below. And otherwise, make sure to hit that thumbs up if you like this content. You can't dislike it anymore, or I think you can now again.
We're the only ones who can see it.
Yeah, so we're the only ones that can set the wheel.
Oh,
Dislike it
yeah.
anyway, so at least we know you're there.
I'm
YouTube
gonna-
won't, but
I'm-
we will.
I'm gonna go play Lotto or Stocks or something because I'm crushing it on predictions
You
today.
are.
Yeah.
And that's
Like
it.
GameStop though, it's gone real bad.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
going
is
really
it?
bad
What's it
right
at
now.
right now?
Dylan.
It's dropped like $100.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Can somebody hit the bell for me to make sure that you're making sure to subscribe and getting notifications whenever we put in these videos every single week-ish. Make sure to tune in next week for Annihilation.
Another Dylan movie.
Yay!
Back to back.
I'm winning.
Yeah.
This is life.
Bye, guys.
Bye.